Good afternoon, everyone. Episode 29, No Limits, Mike and Stace, Unapologetically Unfiltered. We're back.
Hello, all.
I feel like we haven't done a podcast in a while.
Yeah, I don't remember when the last one that we did.
I think because we did a midweek one. So it's
been like a week and a half.
So I think it's been longer than the normal.
Yeah, perhaps.
And
well, here we are.
And here we are on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm sitting outside, day drinking because worked on building a new shed this morning. You cleaned the house. It's a beautiful day out.
It's a beautiful day. Why not spend it outdoors?
So we're going to sit outside and day drink and roast Kamala.
Yep.
The UG, Ugandan giant.
I'm going to roast her right up.
That's right. That's right. So we watched her interview with Brett over there at Fox News. It was interesting. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's what she says to Brett. Well, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
None of us know what she's talking about. Really, ever.
It was a 26-minute argument.
You know why? Because she was supposed to be there for 5 o'clock. She comes strolling in at 5:17. So she was late. That's respectful right there. She was late. Apparently she was unprepared because some of the questions obviously took her completely off guard. So she didn't have a script for them. So she just talks in circles and never answers the question.
No.
But yeah, so that's why, because it was supposed to be originally, I think it was supposed to be 25 to 30 minutes, right? She was supposed to be there at 5. She didn't get there till 5:17. And then they were airing it at 6. So essentially they got in whatever they got in and then aired it. Very disrespectful.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, look, she says that there's not a thing she would have done differently in Creepy Joe's, presidency.
Right.
But then in the next breath, she says that her presidency isn't going to be a continuation of Joe Biden's. Well, first of all, you got to get elected, bitch. Second of all, it is going to be a continuation because Creepy Joe's was a continuation of Obama's.
Mm-hmm.
So hers would be a continuation of Obama's.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
Well, he's behind the scenes pulling the strings, and he has been for, the past 16 years, minus 4, of course, when Trumpy was in there.
He's the most racist motherfucker there is. Did you hear him out there trying to, get the brothers
I did not.
to get out there and vote? Come on, man. And then I've seen a lot of black people online pissed. That he's calling them out the way that he called them out.
Listen, his 8 years fucked up this whole country. Mm-hmm. And then, Trumpy gets in there. And what's he going to do in 4 years when he just messed everything up for the past 8? And now you have Pappy Joe in there. And then you think this one's going to get back in. Come on now.
Well, even UG said that Obama screwed it up. Because she said the last decade.
She did. She did say the last decade. And I was like, well, I mean, if we kind of do our mathematics, right? Trump only had 4 years. So that leaves 6. And if you actually go back, Pappy Joe was in there for 4. Trumpy. And then that's 8 right there.
Yeah.
And so then you have Obama. So I mean.
Apparently she thinks that, Creepy Joe and racist Obama did a shitty job. Along with, she thinks Trump did too, but...
Well, of course, I mean...
I'm sure she benefited.
If somebody would have taken a shot every time that woman said Trump during that interview in the whole 20 minutes, they would have been probably not able to go to work the next day because they would have been so plastered. Because all she did was kept pointing the finger at Trump. None of these questions were even asked regarding Trump. He was asking you. Deflect, deflect, deflect. That's all that they like to do.
I did like, so when Brett asked her, because he brought up the fact that she had made the comment numerous times, damn helicopter, man, that's really loud too. Huh. Where's it at?
Probably right above.
So she made the comment numerous times, you know, when the issue of Weekend at Bernie's health first came about. And she was like, he runs circles around his staff, blah, blah, blah. So Brad asked her, and he brings that up about how she said he runs circles.
Yeah.
And so he says, well, when did you first notice the decline?
Yeah.
And she wouldn't answer the question.
Right.
She goes on this tangent and eventually says that Joe Biden is not on the ticket. Yeah, because
he's cognitively impaired and he's unable to be on the ticket. Hello.
So but and then she sticks with that. And,
yeah, she does.
And she was very argumentative.
Let's also discuss the fact that there was some kind of I only read like the caption. I didn't actually click and read the article. But something about there was a dinner or something.
The Al Smith dinner.
Okay. And her campaign manager advised her not to go because it was this put on by the Catholics?
I think so.
Well, the reason was she didn't want to put out the wrong impression. Something about with
to Israel? Was that what it was about?
No, I don't know if it was. She didn't want to put out the wrong impression with different voter groups. Where if she went in support of the Catholics, that would negate some of the other things that she was saying that she was for.
So you can't support multiple?
Well, apparently you can't.
Okay.
So anyway, then she followed a lot of backlash. There was a lot of backlash regarding that.
Well, that fucking video that she had was stupid.
See, I didn't see the video. It was Molly Shannon.
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of it. It was fucking stupid.
Well, so that was apparently her appearance. That way she could, still kind of contribute, but not actually be there. And it didn't go well for her. And so she berated her campaign manager and had her in tears pretty much by the end of the conversation, pretty much telling her she was useless and this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking to myself, what a leader. What a leader.
Well,
how's she going to sit down with, because the president has to sit down with a lot of the leaders of these other countries. If she can't even have a normal discussion with her campaign manager because she's frustrated or she's, emotionally elevated or what have you, how's she going to sit down with some of these leaders?
How's she going to sit down and try and work out some type of peace agreement, denuclearization agreement with Iran? So if she gets in there, the Iranian people don't respect women at all.
Right.
So
what's that look like?
Exactly. Yeah. So you a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, they don't respect women. I mean, the women have to walk around, covered up except for their fucking eyes.
Yeah.
They're
going to sit down with her.
They don't really have any rights or anything. I mean, we've watched some of that 90 Day Fiance the other way, where these women try to go over there and then they try and act the way they do here.
Well, right.
And the dudes are like, no, you can't. Then they're like, well, I'm American. It doesn't matter. You're in their fucking country.
Right. It does not matter there. When you're in their country, you have to abide by their culture, essentially.
Yeah. So I don't know how, she feels that's going to play out. She's gotten, it's funny because back when she was running to get the Democratic nomination and Creepy Joe got it, she was fucking mean.
Is this as per the post that showed everybody's statistics when she was running?
Yes.
And she got 1%.
When she got 1%. She was a bitch.
That was her family.
Mean.
That 1%?
Her middle class family.
That's right. And her coworkers from McDonald's, I'm sure.
Yep. Coworkers from McDonald's. But she was, you can say what you want about Trump. She was fucking mean.
She does definitely get mean.
She was a bitch, and she has been doing a pretty decent job of not letting that back out.
Sure.
Because she's been very hidden.
Yeah.
And very scripted.
Well, yeah, and she always likes to wear those large earrings, so that's someone's in her ear.
It's coming back out. I've seen some clips ever since the Fox interview. I've seen some clips from her rallies and that. It's coming back out.
Listen, if she gets in there, it is this will solidify the fact that the Democratic Party is bought and paid for 110%. Nobody in their right mind other than, according to that book that we've been listening to, what is it called? The American Marxist. They start with these kids in college. And they teach these kids that this is all for the greater good. So essentially, you give up your individual identity for the greater good. Hard work doesn't get you anywhere. These kids are being taught this. And I 100% assure you these kids are being taught this. Because this hits a little bit close to home for me. But having my own child tell me, who was a very hard worker from the time that he was a child, and raised in a Christian upbringing, that looks me right in the face and tells me after year one of college that hard work doesn't get you anywhere, and that he doesn't believe in God anymore. So, yeah. The child I sent to college and the child I got back, not the same person. Not the same person at all. And so after listening to that book, it was very eye-opening because they are trying to indoctrinate our young people to believe that essentially you give over your individual identity and give up your freedoms for the greater good. Now, they're having a really hard time with some of us that are a little bit older that know that hard work does, in fact, get you somewhere.
That's how America was built.
That's how America's built. How it's going to continue to be built. Blue-collar workers, that's the heart of America. It's a heartbeat of America right there. Tell me that a truck driver who busts his ass and runs this whole country from one side to the next isn't a hard worker. Well, when there isn't something in the store that you need, you go ahead and tell me that, right?
I think it's very eye-opening. So that book that you're listening to
Correct.
Most of it.
Yep.
What's it called again?
American Marxist.
American Marxist. So I think everybody should listen to it. It's very eye-opening. Yuji's dad was
he was
Marxist professor.
Yes, correct.
It's funny because you think about what Stacey just said. It's all about the greater good. So you also learn, if you get into that book, that you accuse people of what you're doing to create confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about that for a minute, and it's all about the greater good, and what they accuse Trump of being, white supremacist, Nazi, and all of that, Hitler was all about the greater good. So you accuse them of doing what you're doing. So kind of just piecing it all together for everybody out there. The shit that Hitler did is what the Dems are doing. They're accusing somebody else, Trump in this case. He's their fall guy. They're accusing Trump of doing what they're actually doing to create confusion. That's the Marxist mentality. So just to kind of
and the younger people, those are the ones that are like, well, you're wrong because you're a cultist because of Trump and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, they've been taught since college, and now they're actually, because not everybody's going to college, actually they did the statistics on this as well. And the reason that I started reading this book is because I was curious, right? I didn't know a lot about what that meant. And so the best way to learn about it is to look into it, to read about it. So I wanted to learn as much about it as I possibly could. Don't know that I necessarily wanted to at this point. Now that I have heard all of that, there were moments where I just was like, wow, I cannot believe what I just heard. But, so since they cannot get it to everybody, now they're doing it in elementary school, secondary school, because they can get to everybody who's in public, all the younger people who are in public schools, and they can essentially teach them that everything you do is for the greater good. And they want to take away our Christianity. They want to take away our identity.
There's a guy on X that I follow, and I see a lot of posts from, and he's all about homeschooling. Because and now it kind of makes sense.
Sure.
And that's why, because of what the public schools are doing. Now I'm very torn with that, because I think homeschooling, kids need to interact with other kids.
For sure.
But on the flip side of that, they're also being taught. It's dangerous. And it's a tricky situation. I'm glad we don't have young kids. In this day and age.
Definitely.
Because I really don't know what we would do.
Yeah, because I'm not here for that at all. And I mean, once my kids were older, of course, and went to college, they didn't necessarily need me, like, bring in your backpack, let's sit down and look at your homework. Like, they were older. So I had no idea that this was actually going on. And it very appalling.
So that's Eugene's daddy.
That's her daddy, and that's her plan. That is their plan, that's why they want to go cashless. That's why they want electric cars. That way they can control. They're going to have a really hard time, I think. Who knows what the future holds for them? Maybe if they are diligent and are able to take over all the young people. But as long as there are people like us, they won't. That's never going to happen. I'm sorry.
The voice of the voiceless.
The resistance, so to speak.
Yep, that's where we need to be, because we got what 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 2 days.
Yes.
Till the election. We need everybody.
Show up and vote, man. Show up and vote. Every single vote is going to count.
And I know that there are some other people on the ballot. But there's only 2 people that have a path to victory.
Right.
So if you're listening to this and you're supportive of one of the other people that do not have a path to victory, you got to think about the lesser of 2 evils.
Right. in the bigger picture. Not because we 100% would support RFK. That would be our pick. He's not even on our ballot. We don't even have him as a choice.
Nope. Nope. So, Kevin's in the garden.
That's hilarious.
Okay. So, but get out there, vote. Think about, I'm not telling anybody, not to vote for your candidate, but I am thinking about, or telling you to think about, who has a path to victory.
Yes.
If you vote for a candidate that has no path to victory, like what are you gaining? What is that candidate gaining? I don't think they're gaining anything.
Well, and RFK is behind Trump. He has said that he supports him. Yep. So, and hopefully, wouldn't it be fabulous, like, when Trump gets back in there, he brings RFK on as, who knows what, but as part of his team. That would be fabulous. I would be here for that.
I'm very supportive of RFK and a lot of things that, he talks about. And making America healthy again.
Yes.
Is his thing. And I think it's very interesting that you and I, at separate occasions, read the same article pretty much.
Yeah.
About how all the processed food and chemicals that they're putting in foods are demasculating. Is that the right word?
I mean, we'll go with that because it's a very good adjective, yes.
Boys in this day and age. So, they're putting all this shit in there, and I'm sitting on the, so I work downtown, take the bus, because I don't want to fight traffic. And the one day I'm sitting there and a bunch of, high school kids, ride the bus. So I'm in a seat and, they're all, standing and I start looking. And I just happened to notice their hands. And by their hands, I couldn't tell man or woman. And then I'd look at their hand and I'd look up and I'd be like, oh, it's a girl. I'd look up, oh, it's a boy.
Yeah.
And then that's what it made me think of. I'm like, wow. Mm-hmm. That is so true. Because a person's hands will explain a lot.
Yeah.
And
that's a whole rabbit hole we can go down for another episode.
Yeah.
Because
you're right.
To be honest with you, I feel like it all goes all the way back, right? They've been working on this and working on us after listening to and kind of just some of the stuff that we read and that we've looked into. This is all... It's easy to say that, like, this is new. This isn't new. This has all been going back to, like, women's lib and whatnot when they told them, like, you're worthless because you're a housewife and this and that. And, don't you want to be out there in the workforce and have a career as well? And I personally am super old-fashioned. And I have no problem with being raised in like a Christian household and whatnot. But I have no problem with men and women roles. That's something that we'll actually get further into as well. But this whole thing, I feel, started decades ago. All with that. Just very small things like get all the women out of the house. Get everybody back to work. Get them kids into daycare. Let us start taking care of it from... Because if they can get to our kids,
they can get to us.
They can get to us.
Yep.
Because it's if mom and dad are at work all day, you're exhausted. Mm-hmm. Your kids come home, there's homework and there's dinner and there's this and then there's sports and you throw the whole thing into it and before you know it, you're in bed and you're doing it all over again, right? But if you don't work, which I personally was exceptionally fortunate to be able to be a stay-at-home mom in the time that I was able to. And I did work part-time once my kids got a little bit older. But I was able to be a part of their every single day life. Let's get your homework out. What are we doing today? Who did you sit with at lunch today? Who are your friends? You get to know your children. They're people. When they leave the house and they're with, other kids, and you have an open dialogue with them, It's a lot more difficult for outside influences to get to them when you as an inside influence are with them every single day.
You gotta be present.
You gotta be present. But anywho,
You know who wasn't present?
Who?
Tampon Tim's dad. Because
clearly not, because he does not know how to hold a rifle to save his life, dude.
He does not know how to load a shotgun that apparently he had bought.
He went out and bought a Walmart that day.
No, he had this one.
Sure he did.
He went pheasant hunting with his dad.
He went pheasant hunting with his dad. Is that what he said?
I think that's what he said. I was too busy laughing at the fact that he couldn't fucking load the shotgun. What an idiot.
Yeah.
And
then
I'm
he
curious.
films it, and then it's like, you don't think that we see that?
I wonder how Glock's feeling now about, because UG had mentioned that she owns a gun, and somebody asked her what it was. She was like, a Glock. Well, a Glock what?
Yeah, typically that you elaborate.
There's a Glock 45 in the truck, right now.
Yeah.
So what do you have there?
Yeah. She's not going to elaborate.
She's not going to elaborate. But I'm wondering if Glock sales went down because she mentioned Glock.
I think the bottom line.
The owner of Glock's probably like, "What the fuck, man?"
Of this conversation is with it's Sunday, so 2 weeks and a handful of days, 2 weeks and a couple days left. Nobody in the right mind can vote this woman in there. She's not fit. She is absolutely not fit. You know what? Give her a little bit of time. She likes to say she's young. 59. She wants to call herself young. You go, friend. I don't really consider that young, but that's fine. You want to go ahead and work on yourself for the next 4 years? See what it actually would take to be a president. Of course, she's been beside Pappy Joe this whole time, and she still has no clue. But just saying this now's not your time. Now is not your time.
It's really not our time.
And it makes me so frustrated. We really do all need to vote. Because I feel like if we all... Apparently, there are places you're allowed to vote early. We don't have that option. We will be showing up to vote.
Yep. We'll show up to vote.
No worries. However you vote, go vote early. Do whatever it is that you're going to do, but do it.
And if you're sitting there thinking about, my vote doesn't count, my vote doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Just remember, we the people. Mm-hmm. We the people have a fucking voice. It is our civic duty to get our asses out there and vote.
And it is time that the silent majority is heard.
Yes. Get your ass out there, vote. Whatever you feel is right, vote. And do it. It will count. It does matter. You got to get off of your ass and do it. Most places will give you time to get out there and vote as well. Most employers is what I was referring to. So get out there, vote, make your voice heard. And
we need to take our country back.
Yes. And we talked about that a little bit. We're going to dive more into that because it's the whole government transparency thing. I got a bone for that. So we're going to dive into that again on a future episode because we do need to take our country back. There's steps that we can take to take our country back. We as Americans, can do this, and we can do this legally without, having to have, a civil war or anything like that. And by no means is it, anything quick. But it starts with the voting. Mm-hmm. So step one, get your ass out there and vote.
Let's get Trumpy in there. And then we have 4 years to come up with a plan to get DeSantis in there. But then anyways.
Yes, anyways.
Get DeSantis in there.
Yes. Step two, get DeSantis in there.
Yeah.
But step one is to get out there and vote. We'll talk about, other things that we can do to take our country back. Like I said, we'll talk about that on another episode. So,
yeah, for sure.
I think we talked about UG enough. She's given us enough to talk about.
She really has. Her and her word salads.
Yes. So,
okay.
I think we'll get ready to wrap this up.
Yep.
But we'll post the episode on Facebook. It'll be available on YouTube Music, iHeart, Pandora, a whole bunch of freaking places now.
Yeah.
About that. So we'll get it. Oh, and we'll post it on X as well.
Yeah. And if you like what you hear, like what you see on our Facebook page, and invite your friends, we can all unite.
Yep. All right. With that, like I say, signing off.
Everybody have a good week. Bye.